I know we're all taking the news of iTunes being killed off finally in different ways, but I don't know if anyone's taking it any harder than this little guy right here. Ollie, it's okay, buddy. I still got your iPod right here. There you go. Take a bite. Eat your feelings. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John, and it's time for another installment of The Think Tank. This is a thinking out loud styled series where I take something that's been on my mind and then discuss it in a freeform manner. And today, that topic is unfortunately the death of iTunes. Apple has all but confirmed it according to Bloomberg, Rolling Stone, and multiple other reputable sources. Apple is killing it next week. And with today being June 1st, 2019, this is just kind of a landmark moment in a very sad way because iTunes officially was announced and unveiled in 2001. This, of course, was back when Steve Jobs was still the CEO of Apple and was still here on this planet. I definitely miss Steve and his impact that he had on technology, and I miss the control that it also feels like he always had. And with iTunes, it was kind of a revolutionary service. I shouldn't say kinda, it actually totally was. It changed the game in the early 2000s, and really streaming owes so much to it. Now at this point, we could all easily say, well, the idea of buying a song that's so passé, that's so outdated, I can't believe anyone would still do that. Well, that's kind of a sad thing when you think about it in some ways because it also shows the fact that consumers no longer want to pay for the full product that they're getting because, like, why would you when you can get Spotify or Apple Music for $10 a month? But it also shows people's commitment to just getting things right here, right now, not having to pay much or anything at all. Music is on YouTube, it's really anywhere you look, and at one time it wasn't so easy. iTunes made it so much easier for everyone. It streamlined the process. It launched in 2001, and then the iTunes Music Store launched in 2003, and that is what changed the fucking game. That was a service that I know myself and my friends were like, holy crap, the first time we ever got on. It wasn't like immediately after it, like right when I got on, but I had an iPod shortly after that. This was not my first one, but if you see here, this is a 2 gig iPod Nano, and this is a device that really changed a lot of things for me personally. Up to that point in time, I had been using this CD player that my parents had gotten me. I remember this came with a copy of the Beach Boys' Greatest Hits CD, and I still have both of these things, my original CD player and obviously that CD as well. And then came an MP3 player or two. One of them was confiscated by a teacher when I was caught listening to it in study hall. And then came one of the iPods, and this is the only one that I have left. I had a couple of 160 gig iPod classics, those were my favorites, but the last one was unfortunately stolen when my car was broken into in 2017. When the iTunes Store was officially unveiled in 2003, they only had just over 200,000 songs, and that might not sound like much because iTunes or Apple Music at this point could easily brag that they have like 10 million tracks or whatever, but it was a matter of getting all those licensings together, getting the record companies on board, and also trying to combat piracy, which was really spiraling out of control. Music label execs were losing their minds between like 1997 to 2003 because they were losing out on so much money due to piracy. This little device, and obviously the software that went along with it, was iTunes, and it changed things for so many people. I want to take the time in the rest of this video to just kind of casually talk about my experiences and memories with iTunes because this was a great service, whether some people want to admit it or not. Sure, it got a little bit outdated and obviously people wanted to use something easier, more intuitive, more snappy. I get it, but there's always going to be something. It's like that first love that you're just looking back at and you're like, ooh yeah, iTunes. I remember that in such a fond way. Now, I didn't have an iPod right away because my parents didn't let me really listen to music. I mean, yeah, they got me this CD player, like I said, but they were pretty strict over what went on it. At least they tried to be. I finally saved up enough money to buy my first MP3 player. Like I said, that got confiscated. I had another iPod that was given to me by my cousin. It was a pink iPod Nano, and I remember the scroll function on that being all jacked up. I finally saved up enough to get my own iPod. That was this little guy right here. I wish that I could turn it on, but I could not find a charger, one of the old ones that has the old ports. I couldn't find one anywhere in my house. I know that there's a lot of old music on there and it would just bring back so many memories, but if I am able to find it somehow before I edit this, then I will show you some footage on screen. The first memory that I ever have of seeing iTunes in use was over at my cousin's house. Like I said, I got that pink iPod Nano from her when she was gifted a new one for her birthday, so she gave me her old one. And I was scrolling through that and she was trying to help me get music on it. And her friend Adam came over and he was starting to show me how to use iTunes, how to buy tracks, and they had a gift card. They were letting me use some of the gift card money that was on there. And I was just so excited because I had never seen this before. I casually kind of knew what torrenting was, except not really. I knew LimeWire and MP3 Rocket and stuff like that, but at the time, I didn't even really know that it was illegal or anything. I was a dumb kid. I was probably like 10 to 12 years old at this point in my life, and I would download those songs. It was kind of a mess because sometimes you would get the wrong song, sometimes you would try, and it would try to give you a virus. It was kind of a crazy Western time out there. No laws, no rules, and then iTunes comes along, and they start showing me how to use it. I remember the first track that I ever bought on iTunes. That was Adam's song by Blink-182. I used it with their gift card because, like I said, her friend's name was Adam, and he was like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? You want a song named after me, right? And I went ahead and said sure, because why not? And that was my first real exposure to Blink-182. Since I brought up Blink-182, the pop-punk band have a certain anniversary that's looming just around the corner. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go to iTunes and look up Enema of the State, which, as you can see, was released 20 years ago to the date that I'm uploading this video. That's mind-blowing in and of itself, and this feels like the end of an era in more ways than one. With the door shutting on iTunes, they're splitting it up into different divisions of podcasts and movies and everything. I'm going to always miss the days when it was all in one place, and though I haven't bought something on iTunes in quite some time, it feels appropriate that my final purchase be for something that's turning 20, Enema of the State by Blink-182. The downloading status, that spinning bar. Of course, we'll see it somewhere, but we won't see it on iTunes. And now it's listed as purchased. I actually own this record. This is an important thing because with streaming, we don't own the things. And with iTunes even, they could take it back eventually at some point. If we were to lose the device and we needed to get it again, we wouldn't have it because they could just say, those are done now. We don't care about you who used iTunes anymore. We're gonna kill it off here and you'll never be able to get your music back again. It's kind of scary, and that's why I like having a physical collection of both vinyl and CDs, because I actually own those. Nobody can come and take that away and say, you know what, this isn't available on this service anymore. In my hands right now are 3 of the most important devices that completely changed my life. I owe so much to them, not just because of the device itself, but because of the things that I did with it. In my far hand over here, you'll see a flip cam. This is what I made my first ever YouTube videos on. The ones that you see that are really, really old on ARTV, that was filmed on this flip cam here. The CD listening in my early days and what got me into music, that was done on the CD player, and that continued over the years, especially when my parents would like maybe confiscate my MP3 player or find my stash of whatever. I would still manage to hide this away most of the time. So that device I owe a ton to. And obviously the many iterations of the iPod and iTunes, that's something that leaves me a bit speechless because it is the end of something and it's over 15 years old at this point, and it was like half a life ago when I was really starting to get invested in this stuff. And it makes me very, very sad. I did feel really emotional earlier in some ways. There's just like an inner turmoil. Part of it's numbness because it's like everything changes, everything moves on and evolves for a reason, but also they're killing off a part of many people's childhoods. Also, people love the quality that they're able to get by ripping their CDs to iTunes, putting it on their iPods. Maybe it's not going to be as easy. They're promising a new software, but will it be anywhere as good? We have no clue. So Apple, I have to say, I feel like this is in some ways at least a mistake. Enough people still buy music on iTunes and other services. In fact, the music industry made a measly $1 billion last year in profits on actually people buying music. And that's not comparable to streaming, I know, but still, $1 billion is $1 billion freaking dollars. So maybe we could have held on a little bit longer, but it seems like Apple is desperate to kind of wash away the old stigma that goes with iTunes and the whole incident where YouTube put it on everybody's phone and everything like that. It was in their iTunes account. Maybe Apple wants to move on, but not everybody else is quite as willing to do so. There are so many stories that I could tell, but I think I'm just gonna wrap it up here and say that I miss you, iTunes. I really miss checking out my play counts. I really miss transferring stuff over to my phone and even updating the software for iTunes, the annoying updates that it was always trying to install. I'm going to miss that in a very odd way. If you want to check out a video where I did talk about iTunes a little bit more, this was from about 6 years ago. It was one of the first ever episodes of 7 on Sunday. It was talking about my most played songs in iTunes of all time. I will leave a link at the end of this video or else in the description down below. Rest in peace, iTunes, 2001 to 2019. We appreciate all of the memories and all of the music, movies, podcasts, and more. And I kind of hate to see you split up like this. Stay together for the kids, am I right? Anyways, guys, if you want to see a couple of recent videos, tap these cards right here. If you want to connect on social media, then hit me up at the links in the description. I'll see you soon for more right here on Beyond ARTV.